All right, let's see here. We are recording, brother. DINO Spencer is in the house.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are.
Fifth Street Gym, Miami. What are you, outside there in your car?
I'm just outside the gym. I just got to finish disinfecting it.
No shit.
Yeah, a lot of disinfecting going on.
Is it open or not?
It is closed, but I'm doing one-on-one video Instagram live workouts just to give my members and people around the world that are quarantined. We have a lot of people we're affiliated with in Italy, and they are in a serious lockdown, so I know they're bored. I know they message me a lot. I know they say they like to come to the gym, so I'm bringing the gym to them. That's
genius, man. Did they officially shut you down? Because I'm in Orlando and you're in Miami. They shut our gyms down, but my workout facility in my townhome complex, they shut us down, but I still get to go inside. It's a weird thing. What's up with you from the legal standpoint?
We got a letter from we got a letter that we're a fitness studio technically, and we're under the agricultural department. They sent us an official letter that says we are closed from March 20th until May 8th.
Really? So at least it's not indefinite, right? I mean, at least they gave you some type of time frame, I guess,
yeah,
right? I mean, that's...
But unless they find a cure, I don't see how they're going to let me open again, so...
How does that work now? I mean, I know this is so DINO. If you don't know DINO, he owns a boxing gym in Miami. It's very well known. He has a lot of. You do boxing and MMA, correct?
Yeah, it's mostly boxing, but like right now we have a guy that's from the UFC that's coming to us to work on his hands. So we get a wide variety. Lately, I've been training a lot of bare knuckle fighters. It's been very interesting.
Really? No shit. That's unbelievable.
I think bare knuckles is the wave of the future. There's no bad judges because almost everybody gets knocked out or cut. And there's no grappling. So the two bad things about the other two sports, MMA sucks unless you're a really advanced student of jiu-jitsu to know what's going on the floor.
Right.
Super boring. And then boxing, the biggest complaint is always the judges. I think he won. You think he won.
Right.
They robbed this guy. Oh, this guy's more famous. Oh, he's Floyd Mayweather. He got robbed because he doesn't. All that stuff's out the window when the guy's bleeding like someone cut him with a sword. There's no question of who won the fight. I
used to watch those backyard beefs on YouTube. I still do. And it's a big thing in Miami, right? I mean,
they're refining it. There's a few states that let them do it, and the state of Florida is one of them. So it was big crowds. They did it at the Hard Rock Casino, which is they sunk $1 billion in the casino. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, I know that joint.
They had a great crowd.
Yeah.
Bare Knuckle FC is the top of the line, though. They're the UFC of this sport. They're the Cadillac of the sport, and they really got it down to a science. They have good matchmaking, good fighters, a good show, and it's in a round type ring that really doesn't allow the fighters to do much moving around, just a lot of punching.
That's awesome. Roberto Duran, wasn't he originally a bare knuckle fighter, if I'm not mistaken? Or
maybe it was when he was a kid.
When he was a kid, younger, of course. But he was supposed to be a beast.
But that guy would have gotten a fight over anything.
I love that guy. I forgot his name. Who's the MMA, what is he, 175, 165? I actually messaged you regarding him. He was a bare knuckle backyard fighter. He has the title right now.
Yeah, George Masvidal was originally as like a teenager because he's not that old now. And that was like pre-UFC. He's been fighting in Miami any way they'll let him fight. Anybody, anytime, anyhow. That's a bad dude. He's been to our gym to box. He's a very nice guy, very respectful. Came in and played along with the boxers, even though he was at a huge disadvantage. And he plays nice with others. Yeah.
And he started, what was that, with the black guy? Is he involved, that big black dude who started the videos for backyard brawling or whatever?
Yeah, he's
bare knuckle.
Absolutely. Brawling. He's got his own show. And that was the one that was at the Hard Rock. I was actually the cut man for the blue corner.
Okay.
Turned out the blue corner was the least talented of the group. So I had a lot of work to do, which was great. It was a great experience. You know, Angelo Dundee, who was my mentor, who was the owner of the Fifth Street Gym before me, who was my partner, who was Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Carmen Basilio's trainer.
Unbelievable.
When Carmen Basilio was the first guy to beat to beat Sugar Ray Robinson.
Sure.
He was low in his corner. So anyway, so Angelo used to tell me how he used to work fights as a corner man or a cut man Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every week in New York City. Now I'm lucky if there's a fight once a month and you got one fighter.
Yeah.
It's hard to, it's impossible to ever. That's why he's such a great cornerman. He worked the corner a lot. So it's hard for me to get that experience. So the way I've been getting it is by also going as a cut man and also doing other sports like MMA and bare knuckle now.
Of course.
It really, it's great experience.
That's awesome. I mean, not a lot of people know this. I had Dino in my first two films. One was Sore Losers in '99. And then I also had it in, actually had a pretty decent role in Insanity, another film I did. We got introduced from a buddy of mine from Taylor Street, the Guida.
That's right, Frank.
Yeah, Frank. And I love Frank and Nick. We love those guys. So let me back up here a little because I've known you for a while now, obviously. You, when I first met you, had a gym in Chicago. It wasn't on Taylor Street. Where were you? Or you were helping?
At the time, I was like in Wrigleyville. We were on Broadway in Irving Park, not far from Cubs Park. At the time, I think in the early 90s.
We shot some scenes at one of those locations with the big.
And then we moved to the West Loop at POW, Mixed Martial Arts.
That's where it was.
Yeah, so that's where it was. Yeah, downtown.
Yeah, and you were at that time. You were training the heavyweight kickboxing champion. If I'm that big black dude who was in the film, that's super cool. What was?
Yeah, Carl Davis Jr. He went on to be the NABA cruiserweight champion of that's NABA's North American cruiserweight champion. He got rated in the top 10 in the world as a boxer. At the same time at the gym, we had Andrei Arlovsky, who was the UFC heavyweight champion.
That's right. Now you were you're like a 4th degree black belt. Am I mistaken here? Am I screwing all this up?
I think the final piece of paper they gave me said 5th degree.
What the fuck? How did I lived in Florida off and on, and you would sometimes mention hating Chicago's weather, which is hysterical because you do that Weather Channel thing, or you do your own weather thing, and we would talk about Florida. How did you end up truthfully transitioning from? Because my closest friend Jim owns Franklin Street Gym, Jim Mango. I know you know, and obviously all those guys. You were one of few, because a lot of people talk about getting out, opening a gym in Florida or the West Coast. You went and did it. How did that ever transition? Because I don't think I've seen you since my premiere, and I'm not even sure if you were at the premiere, if you moved. I think you were at the premiere. Yeah. I don't know, but I haven't seen you in 20 years. How did the transition take place? How did you get?
I would come down here for camps, or I would go to Freddie Roach's in LA, and I would say to myself, why do I go back? I was doing that, training fighters, also working in nightclubs.
Yeah.
It was one really slow night at the club. It was really cold, and I went in the office, and it was a great job. I was making great money working for great guys. I went in there and said, listen, I'm not coming back tomorrow. And they, of course, snickered. Why did you walk away from a big cash job like this? And I said, I can't take the weather anymore. And they snickered again. And I took my tips from that night. I got on a plane Sunday morning. Yeah. And I think I've only been back 1 or 2 times since.
Are you shitting me?
I had my mom pack myself. My poor mother, who's 75 now, was only 65 then, who's in better shape than all of us. She works out the gym religiously, daily. She packed my stuff and mailed it down to me.
How did you then? What's amazing that I've seen your transition, because basically just through social media, and we've stayed friends for so long, is how did you end up then with Angelo Dundee and that whole crowd? Because that's a pretty big jump. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, big jump. So what happened was Angelo helped me with Frez, one of my heavyweight contenders. Fought for the world title a couple times. And I had his number in my phone. I was going to buy another, more of a cardio boxing gym.
Okay.
The last day before I made the deal, I worked for this knucklehead lady for a month.
What were you doing, security or bouncing at this point?
I was actually renting. I was renting parking lot spaces outside of a nightclub. Sure. So I was essentially like a parking attendant.
Yeah.
And I was working at this lady's exercise gym. We struck a deal. The day before I bought the gym, she raised the price 50 grand.
Okay.
Deal was off.
That's over. Okay.
My friends and family loaned me money that I would have, if I didn't buy the gym, I would have had to give back. I had no job now. I gave up my job. I was fucked.
Jeez.
So I'm walking down the street and I see a sign, a plaque that says, "This is dedicated to Angelo Dundee and his 15 world champions." And next to that plaque is a for rent sign.
It's amazing.
I called Angelo. I said, "Hey, Andrew, remember me?" He said, "Yeah, of course I remember you." I said, I was very vague about who they were. They want to put your gym back in the original building. He said, the original address. The original building was knocked down because people have no respect for history.
Gotcha.
So they put the new building in. He said, "Great, let's do it." I called up the landlord. I said, "Angelo Dundee, where you have a plaque outside your building, wants to put his gym back in the original address." They said, "Well, Angelo Dundee? Great." So I talked out both sides of my mouth until everybody was happy. And Angelo was so excited to have the gym back open. He was, semi-retired. And, it was his last couple of years. He was just so excited.
Awesome.
We went to the Boxing Hall of Fame where they inducted the ring that was used in Madison Square Garden that Angelo was the coach in many, many fights, including, Ali's very famous fight with Frazier. So
was Ali with you then? I'm sorry. It was Ali before.
Angelo, he came to the grand opening of the gym.
That's where you see. Okay.
And then we became friends. My best friend, Tom, was just with him the last couple of years as much as humanly possible.
With Ali.
And he just has the best stories ever. And Tom helped, he helped me get the gym going. He brought Angelo, he brought Mohammed. One of the greatest things that happened at the gym was that the next day I invited people to help me clean because it was a big party. 300 members of the press came. The place was a shambles.
It's unbelievable.
Nobody came except for 2 fighters. The next day, Mohammed came.
And that was...
Sat on a tire that we used for like jumping on, flipping, hitting with sledgehammers.
Yeah.
Sat on a tire, and there's like 20 black and white pictures of him in the gym.
Yeah.
On elevated frames. He sat there and told us stories about each individual one like it was yesterday.
That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
It's legendary. I mean, it's to see where you went from to where you ended up is amazing.
I would have never guessed it in a million years. I gotta tell you, when Rocky Balboa, the movie, came out, I was being interviewed by CBS or ABC, one of those local networks, at the same time that Stallone was being interviewed like 20 feet away from me.
No shit.
And when his interview was over first, because it debuted in Chicago like the original Rocky.
Right.
And by the time I was finished, he was gone. But what I was dying to tell him is if when I was little, when I saw those movies,
of course,
I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for those movies. If it wasn't for Rocky 2 in particular, I was a little older. I was probably 7 or 8. He won that, because he won at the end of Rocky 2. I came home and ran around the block, and I essentially never stopped training since.
I agree. That changed all our lives.
I was never that good, but I never stopped training. And really, if I ever even have a little bit hard time dragging myself out of bed or making myself do something, I can always put that soundtrack on, and it's like I'm 8 years old again running around the block.
It's unbelievable. Me and Jimmy Mango talk about that all the time. That changed our life at like 6, 7 years old. And look at him. He owns a gym. You own a gym. I think, too, being the Italian thing a little bit, because I like bodybuilding, but I kind of like Schwarzenegger, but I like Franco Colombo. But if you were Italian, how would you not love Rocky? I mean, it's just one of the greatest films of all time. That's a whole nother.
All the way through until Creed, it was great.
Yeah, I loved Apollo Creed too. I mean, that was one of the most amazing.
Apollo's the best.
Yeah, I mean that's Carl Weathers killed that.
When I was training, I wanted to box like Apollo, not like Rocky. That's for sure. I just loved Rocky.
But how did you end up doing martial arts instead of them just box? So you boxed. If you loved Rocky, how'd you end up going more in because your thing was kind of kicking? Am I wrong? You were really known for kicking.
My father knew somebody that knew somebody, and you know, this was you know, you ever see the karate movies? They grow up together. One guy goes bad, one guy goes good.
Yeah, I love it. Octagon style.
My guy was the bad guy, and he used to work for these guys.
Yeah.
And my father knew those guys that knew that guy, and that's where they stuck me.
No, well, it all was meant to be.
It all happens for good reason.
What do you think now the future of not only boxing but like sparring? What's it going to be, you think? I mean, just in I know that's a hard question to answer, but like, do you think if this becomes so regulated, hypothetically, you think the backyard thing will really take off? Because let's face it, that's going to be an entirely different type of crowd, I think, too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people are always going to watch people punch each other in the face.
Right.
They can try to regulate if they want to. With social media, they're really going to be jammed up. If they don't put it on TV, then some kid's going to put it on from his phone.
Right.
And there's, it takes two tough guys and one computer genius, and the three of them can put a show on.
Yeah.
So there's no stopping it. So they better just, if you can't beat them, join them. So
yeah,
I think
no
the
shit.
states are going to have to regulate it and control it to a degree. But I'll tell you, in the bare knuckle fighting, guys are getting hit a lot less. 2 or 3 times, you're either going to fall down, your eyes going to split open, the party's over. So
yeah, break your jaw or whatever.
Yeah, opposed to 12 rounds of abuse, I think in the end, it actually winds up being safer.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing when they do all those studies on each type of different physical abusive type sport or whatever, how each one affects everyone differently in one way or another in the long run. But yeah, like you said, they seem to shorten. Some of those backyard brawls go forever, but it seems like they're younger and they're more resistant, right? Like teenagers, or I'm just saying. But when you're a 25, 28-year-old man, it's a little
28-year-old power.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you get into the big dogs. Yeah, this has been awesome talking to you, my man. This is a blast from the past. So what else? So what's the future with you now as far as, like, is the gym's the gym? Do you want to plan on, doing more gyms? You plan on more getting into the fight game, managing, just being
we do a little bit of, you have to have multiple streams of income these days. So we sell a few T-shirts. We do a few private lessons. We train a few celebrities. I have a couple of fighters that are on the way up, a couple undefeated guys.
Yeah.
So, we have a guy named Daniele Scardina who is quarantined, locked down in Milan right now. His mother is from Puglia. His father is from Sicily. He was raised in Milan, and now he's training with me here in Miami. So we definitely have built a really good connection, a strong connection with the Italian fighters.
It's wonderful.
For me, my dream is to make a world champion from Italy.
Nice.
To reconnect, my grandparents are my favorite people in the world.
Yeah.
On my Italian side and my Sicilian side, and to reconnect. Matter of fact, I used Ancestry.com, and I found my relatives in Sicily that came to I got married in Corleone. And,
I saw that. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing, and my whole family I didn't know 5 years ago, they were all there. It was unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind tour since I've moved down here. So much has happened. Thank God, it's been unbelievable. I have a daughter now. I have a wife. It's one thing has led to the next, and I would have never. I don't know. I can't wait to see what's next.
That's wonderful. I love going to Italy. I have a massive family there as well, mainly Naples, but there's some are in Vasto, even some in Rome. But going back there, like going back to Italy, it just feels like home, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know. I know. It feels like that's where you were. Like, it's like, what's funny is we were talking about the weather too. Once I had lunch, I was fortunate enough to have it with Joe Montana, and I'm not saying that to drop names, but he moved to California. Obviously, he's a well-known actor, and then I had to move to Florida at a young age, and he's Sicilian. But he said, Rich, like a lot of times they can't stand cold weather. It's almost like if you were born in Italy, like it's a weird thing.
Yeah, especially if you're from the south of Italy, you've barely ever seen winter. And then to go to Chicago, New York, and Boston, it's crazy.
I always felt sometimes like a foreigner in my own country at times, because my grandparents used to say, you were born in the wrong country, Rich. You should have been born in Italy, the way you act, talk, eat. And I kind of feel that's kind of a little bit with you too when I see us when we talk. And
I'm raised. I'm half Irish, and my father was a superhero to me, but he died when I was very young. I was really raised with my mom and her parents, and the street. even around the American kids, I felt like I was too Italian for them.
Yeah.
And then when I was around the foreign kids, I felt like I was too American for them. So it was like you're either too Italian or too American. The Italian Americans is a strange. It's like a liger. You're not a tiger, you're not a lion, but you're the best of the both worlds.
Yeah, I'm actually a quarter Irish. Not a lot of people know that because my grandmother ended up having my mother with an Irishman, and then she remarried and had a full-blooded Italian, had 5 more kids, so I was never around anyone Irish. But I used to say that about me and Jimmy Mango because I lived in LaGrange Park for a while, and our family was from Cicero, and the suburb kids would call us, you know, greaseballs, wops, you know, that shit. But then when we go back to Cicero, they're like, oh, you're a preppy kid from the burbs. Like I said, we couldn't win either way. We didn't know.
Can't win, exactly.
We go back to Taylor Street. They were making fun of us, but then it was, and then we ended up in Melrose Park for the most part in Cicero, but it was funny.
I'll tell you, one thing I miss about Chicago is Taylor Street.
Yeah. I'm there still pretty often.
I miss the food. I miss the girls, because every girl from every neighborhood used to come by and see us. I miss it all. Those times ever.
I was fortunate enough because we were from, like I said, Cicero, and then my stepfather was from Melrose. I was with them, but because Jimmy at such a young age, from first grade on, we're best friends, so I was always going to Taylor Street. And then we had some family members from there as well. So,
and you know, I wasn't from there. I was from the Northwest Side, but they took me in mostly because of Frank Guida.
Yeah.
You know, Joey Suds.
Yeah,
and
Joey.
We went to high school together. They took me in like I was raised with them. I used to sleep over their house every night, and their parents cooked for me. It was just it's one of my best childhood memories were those like 4 or 5 years of hanging on Taylor and Loomis day in and day out like I was getting paid.
They're great guys, all them. We all grew up together. Yeah. And they used to love coming to South Florida, Joey DeVito, all them guys. Because I would come here and live here basically in the summers, and then they would go crazy for it. And when they'd come in for spring breaks, I'd go pick them up wherever they were at. We'd all hang out. But all right, brother, I got to do another podcast with you.
I'm ready whenever you are. I love it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, no. Tell people about where your gym is, how to reach you, and all that type of stuff.
Instagram at DINO 5th Street Gym. DINO 5THSTGYM that's it. DINO at 5th Street Gym. On Instagram, you can send me a direct message. You can comment the pictures. We're in South Beach, right in the heart of South Beach. The 5th Street Gym is on 5th Street. And if you ever want to come by to watch or to work out, or we're doing workouts every day, Monday through Thursday, 12:30, 9:30, 12:30, and 6:30.
Yep.
Live on Instagram. So join us. We'd love to have you. And out there, you're double invited.
Oh man, I can't believe I'm in Miami so much that I've never gone there. it's always because of my scheduling. I'm usually screwed, but I definitely got to get there. That's just an excuse, and that's bullshit.
There you go. Doors open.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, brother. And I will touch base with you later. And I want to wish you and your daughter and your wife, obviously, stay healthy. All right, brother?
Happy and healthy. Right back at you. I'll see you soon.
All right. Take care, brother.
Ciao for now.
All right. Ciao.